If there's one thing I want you to take away from these videos, it's that Steins Gate isn't about time travel and the universe. It's about friendship and loneliness and the beauty of the everyday. But if there's a second thing I want you to take away, it's that basically everything in the story is fated to happen. Think about how many weird coincidences had to go into Suzuha meeting her father. Suzuha's only clue about her father was this time machine offline meetup, and Okabe unknowingly made her father miss this event so he could come to the lab party being thrown to make her feel better about missing her father. Is that not completely whack? But here's the thing, if she'd actually gone and seen Daru, would she have recognized him as her father? She's already met him after all, and had no idea that they were even a little bit related, let alone father and daughter. Instead, Okabe stops her father from going to this meeting, stops Suzuha from going to the past, and brings them all together at this hilariously ironic party. And because of this bonding, they all become a little bit closer and eventually learn who her father is when they send her off in a time machine to 1975. In other words, Okabe preventing Suzuha from meeting her father is the reason she was able to find her father. This is something I'm gonna keep bringing up, and something I don't think anyone talks about enough. Fate plays a huge role in the events of Steins Gate. It's never really talked about, and obviously Okabe and Kurisu don't believe in fate, at least not right away. And obviously, the concept of fate comes into play when Okabe runs into divergence and finds things he can never change. But I want you to think about fate differently. Remember how I said Okabe and Kurisu never met for the first time? That's not divergence, because that's not a sequence of events that happens. It's a sequence of events that already happened, that never didn't happen because it's written into the fabric of the universe itself. Divergence is what happens, but fate is how things are meant to be. And like Okabe and Kurisu meeting, Suzuha finding her father is something that's just meant to be. It doesn't look like it. After all, they're both lab members. She came back in time to find Okabe and meets every single one of the lab members, so it's pretty obvious that Daru is the #1 contender here. But how it actually happens in the story is a series of extremely huge coincidences. It didn't just happen because it couldn't just happen. She had no idea where to find him. The only clue she had is that her father might be at this meeting, and the only thing she knew about him is that he's very clearly male. Well, that certainly narrows it down a lot. A lot of things had to happen just right for this search to actually come to fruition. Think about Suzuha's pin. Not only did the pin, like Okabe and Kurisu's relationship, not have a beginning or an end either, it's a literal sign that things aren't how they're supposed to be. It's missing the people who never became lab members in this world line. Quiz time. What's wrong with this? That's right. This doesn't make sense. It's made up of the lab members' names, but it's missing a few. Why would it be missing them? If you didn't know about them, you wouldn't leave them blank, you would not write them in the first place. The only way this would happen is if the creator knew there were 8 lab members, but didn't know their names. But then, why would they know they're supposed to be lab members, or how many lab members there are supposed to be? Or, most significantly, that Suzuha is specifically lab member number 8. This actually just doesn't make sense. How on earth would this happen? And the answer is obvious. The pin wasn't created by a person, it was created by the universe. This is something Okabe might do, but he didn't make the pin. He only made them because Suzuha brought it back from the future. There isn't a world line where the pin didn't exist in the first place. It's missing members not because Okabe didn't fill in the blanks, but because the universe didn't. The pin is literally a sign from the universe nudging them in the right direction. So, when Suzuha says,
やっぱりさ、父さんとは会えない運命なのかも。
it's the exact opposite. Now, again, A lot of what happens is the result of divergence, like Mayuri dying, but what I really want you to take away from this video is the difference between divergence and fate. The pin, Okabe and Kurisu's relationship, these aren't things that are just made to happen. These are things that have to happen. No one made them happen. They never didn't happen in the first place. That's the difference. Welcome back, by the way, to my series analyzing every single episode of Steins Gate. If this is something you're into, do me a favor and step on the like button. So let's apply this idea to something you might have just glossed over. The PhoneWave, named subject to change. Here's a question. How exactly did they invent the PhoneWave? How do a TV and a cell phone and a microwave create a time machine? Obviously, science shit, but what specifically brought this into existence? The answer is, like the pin, nothing. It's not just a massive coincidence that this thing exists. It's too big of a coincidence to be anything but fate. And that's because they didn't make the PhoneWave either, the universe did. And you'll notice that this means that all of the events of Steins Gate were fated to happen. The PhoneWave, named subject to change, was created by the universe. CERN took it from the lab and used it to create their time machine. Because of this, the Future Gadget Laboratory created their own time machine and sent Suzuha back to 2010 to create a future without time machines. What does this mean? It means that no one, at any point, was ever actually the first one to create a time machine. They might have tried, Kurisu might have written the paper on time machines, she might have improved on the PhoneWave, named subject to change, with the time leap machine. Daru might have made one in the future. But, as for actually realizing the existence of time travel in the first place, that is strictly a product of the universe itself. So, you might notice that this actually leaves the problematic question, wait, if all of the events of Steins Gate were fated to happen, what's the point of the story? And this is something you'll have heard me say more than once if you've seen my other videos, but I'll say it again here. Stories are never, ever, 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 ever about the things that happen. Stories are about the characters things happen to. Whether or not the events of Steins Gate are fated to happen is irrelevant. Whether or not the characters even have free will is irrelevant. It only matters that they think they do. The reason Steins Gate keeps showing us this realistically mundane life in Akihabara is because that's what's important. For each of the characters in Steins Gate, their only guiding principle is what they know is right, what they know is meant to be. Fairness gives up her father because she knows this carefree life with him isn't really real. Ruka gives up her vagina because she knows it's a gift she isn't supposed to have. Moeka realizes she's been living a lie and goes to meet her truth. Kurisu stays with the lab because she feels like that's where she really belongs. Okabe chooses Mayuri over Kurisu because Mayuri is the most precious thing in the universe, and her death means something about it is fundamentally broken. And what Mayuri feels is all of this. The characters, deep down, all know how things are meant to be. And that's because at every step of the way, they are being guided by the hands of fate. They're being guided by the universe itself. But all of this stuff, time, fate, the universe, doesn't really matter. Steins Gate is about a bunch of kids who just wanted some friends. And I think that's fucking beautiful. So next time, the moment Kurisu falls in love with Okabe. Stay tuned, and as always, thank you so much for your time, friends.